Hello everyone. Okay, now we're talking about literature review. Okay. So literature review is a collection of all the scholarly writings on the topic. It has specific purposes like term papers, thesis, or dissertation, research article. So in this presentation, we just talk about thesis because right now you're writing a thesis. So for thesis or dissertation, it provides a comprehensive and up-to-date review of the topic, demonstrate that you have a thorough command of the field you're studying. It is good to cite some timelines. So research is like writing a story. The existing literature is the story so far. You need to know where you are before you go forward, and many different studies contribute to this story. And you need to collect these story pieces and need to know what needs to be done next. And you also need to explain why the part of the story is important. When you write your literature review, please write in categories, which helps you and your professor understand your writing. And I will talk about how to write in categories later. So there are some steps for writing a literature review. It has planning, reading and research, and analyzing, drafting. For planning, reading and research, and analyzing, I think you've already done it, so I won't talk more about it. We just focus on the drafting. So for planning, you should think about where should I begin? What types of literature review am I writing? And what topic should I select? And you need to focus. Select a general topic, search an appropriate database, narrow the topic, the type, the theory, methodology, it's quantitative or qualitative, or it's mixed methods, and relevant databases. So for reading and researching, that's you need to find your databases and materials. And when you select articles, please start with the most current articles and work backwards. And keep in mind the author's main purpose, the theory and methodology, the finding, the implementation and limitation, and how to relate it to your research. When you're analyzing the literature, you need to have the consistent format. You need to group the articles by categories. So here's an example of a literature review on affirmative action in higher education. So first you put all the background issues together. It has the general historical background, history of affirmative action in higher education, philosophical basis, the law and affirmative action. That's the background issues. You put them in the category. Next is effects of affirmative action, which include effects on minority enrollment, effects on academic achievement, and other effects. Then it's the criticism. You put all the criticism of affirmative action into one category. Then is the alternatives to affirmative action. So let's part to summarize the key findings relevant to your study, which includes the main point, the existing theories, the methodology, and the findings. Here we will talk about the qualitative and the quantitative. So what's their difference? For the quantitative, it talks about the experimental and statistical, the test theory, and it mainly show relationship. The sample will be large and randomized, and the methods will be the surveys, the structured interview. So not just the qualitative can use interviews, but quantitative can also use interviews, but it's structured interviews, which usually used in the psychology, and for the observations, it usually used in the science. And it's experimental or non-experimental. I think Dr. Starr already covered this. And for the qualitative, it is based on social interactions, verbal narratives, interviews, and observations. It needs to stress the importance of gaining a deep understanding of a context and the culture to study a phenomenon. And sometimes the context involves politics, political change, or marginalized groups, and the sample will be smart and purposeful. Oh, for the quantitative, for the experimental or non-experimental, I will give you an example. Experimental is like two different groups of students. The research used two different instructional strategy to them to see the relationship between the strategy and their achievement. It's like experimental. And non-experimental is like hyperactive students might be interviewed to figure out their disruptive classroom behaviors without any attempt by the researcher. Then keep these questions in mind. What do researchers know about this field? What do researchers now know? Why do you further study this topic? What will your study contribute? Okay, now we jump to drafting. For drafting, please make sure drafting clear for the reader, which you can provide sufficient background information and some explicit transition between sections. So don't assume your readers understand your backgrounds. So please provide sufficient background information so that your readers can understand. And I talked with Dr. Stories, and for some of your writings, Dr. Stories just feel a little bit confused because some writings are hard for him to understand. Oh, they are writing. What is this about? So please make your writing clear for the reader. And keep these questions in mind. Did you cover the literature adequately? Are any gaps in your review? How can the paper be improved? Okay, for the introduction part and conclusion. So for introduction, you need to indicate the scope of the literature review, provide the background of the topic, you need to demonstrate the importance or need for research, you need to make a claim, and you need to offer an overview or map of the discussion. For the conclusion part, you need to summarize the main findings of your review and provide closure and provide implications for the future research. And also keep this in mind. Compare your draft with the outline. Avoid you overusing direct quotations. Even though it's a literature review, but if you use direct quotations a lot, that will affect your writing. You can paraphrase it. And avoid using synonyms for recurring words, avoid slang and idioms. Because this is a research paper, it's a formal paper, so it's not regular writing. Please pay attention to your words using, word selection. Dr. Story asked me to provide some citation teaching here, so here's the citation styles, basic citation styles. And we hope when you're writing your literature review, you need to pay attention, like a one work by one author. So first the citation in text, how to use it, and the subsequent citation. So it's kind of the same because it's one work by one author. And this parenthetical format, first the citation in text, so it's the same. Two authors, it's the same, but when one work by three authors, pay attention. So here's and, so here, so you see the difference. So the author's last name, the first author's last name, then it uses Italia here, so you see the difference. So pay attention. That's by authors. There are some examples. So if the name of the author appears, as part of narratives, as in the first example, set only the year of the publication in parentheses. Otherwise, place both the name and the year separated by a comma in parentheses, the second example. And in the rare case in which both the year and the author are given as part of the textual discussion, do not add parenthetical information, which is the third example. So when used as first citation in text, so I highlight this part, you can see. So for authors, the year, so the second one, the subsequent first citation per paragraph, you use Italia. So this one omit the year from subsequent citations after first non-parenthetical citation within paragraph. Then it's direct quotation. So for direct quotation, one direct quotation is fewer than 40 words. You need to provide author, year, specific page citation, or paragraph number for non-paginated material. Here's an example. So the author, publication year, quotation marks. So after quotation marks, the page number. After page number, then comma. So in this one, quotation marks. Then, so in parentheses, it has the author's last name, publication year, and the page number. The period is after that. Okay, now it's the block quotation is more than 40 words. For this part, you need to start on the new line and indent the block about a half inch from the left margin in the same position as the new paragraph. If there are additional paragraphs, within the quotation, indent the first line of each an additional half inch, double space the entire quotation. At the end of the block quotation, set the quoted source, the page, the publication year, and the page paragraph number in parentheses after the final punctuation mark. Okay, so this is basically about it. And so when you finish watching this video, please finish the quiz. And by the way, the quiz is the same with the survey. So I just want to do the pre-test and post-test to see your guys' achievement. And please pay attention, a literature review is not annotated by bibliography. Annotated bibliography, it helps you understand different researchers' ideas and findings. And you need to create a conceptual map or outline of literature. For example, you found 3 concepts relevant to your research, and some article may be relevant to one concept, but some may be relevant to more than one concept. Then you need to organize these concepts and relationship according to your understanding. Then your literature review will be based on the organized concepts, the relationship you have found, and your own thinking. So last part is the link of the sample literature reviews. Okay, thank you. Good luck. If you have questions, please let me know.